Well, thank you.
Looking beautiful.
I practiced the space beat.
I can't forget how she's like, Facebook guys. How are you doing, Priscilla?
I'm doing well.
You're doing well.
Yeah.
Feeling good today?
Yes.
Yes. Good. And Shakhi?
Yes.
Yes.
I am good, thank you.
You're feeling good? Are you ready for today?
I am excited about today.
Oh, yes. Sandy?
I am leveling up.
Oh, come on! I feel it right there. Well, I'm also doing good today. So I hope you guys are ready and excited because we're gonna have an incredible moment with the ladies. So can we just go to chapter 14?
Yes.
Because today we are gonna have a powerful discussion on loving yourself. So would you just take us through?
All right. Perfectionists usually have low self-esteem, and they hope that more perfection in their performance will allow them to feel better about themselves. Have you realized that if we never feel quite good enough about ourselves, it's easy to believe that God is not satisfied with us either? Learning to love yourself is the essence of understanding God's love. It is the ointment that brings healing to your wounded soul. When you receive God's love and learn to love yourself because of it, you'll find rest and be free from the disappointment of perfectionism and proving yourself. God gives you the grace to become what He purposed you to be. Rest in Him.
Now that is a beautiful passage right there. I think for me, most especially, is learning to love yourself is the essence of understanding God's love. You know, it just takes me back. You know, when you just get born again, receive Christ, and you're just thinking that after I receive Christ, my life is going to be perfect.
Yes.
And I want to be honest with you. I expected my life to be perfect, but a part of me again, I was performing so much for it to look perfect. I feel like I was working for God. I was making sure they see God as perfect. And I was performing so much that I remember I would plan my day. Like, guys, I would literally plan my day. Like, today, this is what you do not do, and this is what you do. And that was pressure. That was so much pressure because I got to a point where when I didn't do well, I would just feel condemned. So much condemnation that it was hard for me to pray because I would feel that I have not impressed God today. I didn't do good. You know, I was not a righteous girl today. and therefore, I didn't even feel free to pray. I felt like my relationship with God was not good. I made it about what to do and not what to do. You know, the should and the have to, you know, and guys, I never enjoyed life. Honestly, I never enjoyed my Christianity because I made it about performance. And today I realized it was more of religion. It was not a lifestyle. It was not relationship with Christ. It was more on what I have done today. And I feel like I was relating to God the way I would relate to people. Because if you hate people, then you're not good enough for them for that day.
Yes.
You see where I'm coming from? And if you do them good, you're their best for the day. So that's how I treated God like people. But that's not what His love is about.
Yeah.
That's not what His love is about.
When you speak about people, like there's a scripture, I think it's Mark 12, verse 31, which says, love yourself as you love thy neighbor. And I feel that if you don't know who you are as a person, then it's difficult to be able to translate that into relationships, into everyday, because your perception about life, about people, is going to be so bad if you don't know, you know, how good of a person you are, how amazing you are. Then if you're going to have bad expectation when it comes to other people.
And you treat relationships as transactions.
Wow.
You give and get what you give.
that is so true.
Yeah.
That is so
Very
true.
true. And going back to what you were saying also, Priscilla, about how, you know, when we interact with people, and if you do something bad or you do something that is not at their, you know, their expectation level, then they're not so forgiving. But in fact, it's the way we are as well with people. If you're not so forgiving of yourself, then you can't forgive other people. So it starts with self.
It starts with self.
Us accepting the love that God has for us.
That is
And then once we receive that, then we are fully able to give that to other people. Yeah.
And I was actually looking at the opening scripture here. It says there's no fear in love.
Come on.
And you know, we tend to have fear more than love. And sure, the fear of failure, the fear of being yourself and be corrected, the fear of being wrong, the fear of everything, you know. Sometimes we must accept that we can fail so that we can grow in love.
And anyone there, did you see when she was reading perfectionists usually are people who have low self-esteem?
Yes.
Because you have put yourself in a certain box. You know, you have put yourself in a certain box, that this is just how I need to perform. This is and because you have low self-esteem yourself, you judge yourself. You judge yourself, and that's not how God sees you. You know, when God saved me, or should I use the word delivered me out of that religious lifestyle? When He delivered me out of that lifestyle, I realized that I can do wrong, and He say, "Lord, forgive me." But this time I'm not giving the devil a chance to condemn me. This time I'm not giving him a platform to tell me how bad I was. And because now I've recognized the love of God for me, I run after that. I run after that. Lord, I was not perfect today, but I thank you that you still love me. And I feel like we need to rest in that. We need to rest in the belief that He still loves you, the knowledge that He still loves you anyway. No standards, no measurements, no expectations from whatever people may say. And it's how the gospel has been introduced to us. That's something, that's the foundation we've been given. What has been preached to us, what has been said to us. It has put us in a box where if you do not perform around this, then it's not it. And we related with God like that, and it affected our prayer lives as well. It even affected our relationship with people, because even when people do wrong, oh, you being a Christian, this is what you did. There's no heaven for you. That's how far we went. There's no heaven for you. And I feel like that's how we destroyed relationships. We destroyed relationships even in our families. I feel like many people could have came to Christ. But there's a certain bar we placed for them. That bar said you enter only when you perform like that. And we cannot help God, guys. Performance has in it works.
Self-righteousness.
Self-righteousness, and I don't think it works with God. Self-righteousness does not work with God. I feel like when we understand His grace for our lives, then we're able to live with the consciousness of He loves me anyway, and I can be myself.
And Priscilla, mentioning the gospel, it should be the gospel of power. And we cannot experience power if we don't have weaknesses. No. So we need to add some time so that we can experience power.
The Bible says the Holy Spirit helps us in our weaknesses. We must accept that we do have weaknesses, because that's where He's going to help us. So why do we want to be so perfect?
Why do we need His grace?
After all.
Why do we need His grace? Sure. You know, what you've mentioned now just takes me back also to, you know, what you said about churches, how, you know, whatever we receive when we become born again sort of creates the standard of how you see yourself. Because I think I also suffered a lot from low self-esteem, because you always think I need to look a certain way, you know, in terms of maybe features, you know, weight. I need to do certain things at this time in my life, at this age. I need to be here. You know, if I have not done that, then, you know, God is not pleased with me. We end up judging ourselves so much, and it distorts our, you know, how we see God or how we view God. You know, the image of God becomes very distorted, because we end up seeing God through people's eyes when we should be seeing Him through His Word, you know, and how we've experienced Him in our lives.
I think the lack of, if you lack intimacy with your relationship with God, then everything is around you, whether it be in church or people, that will be your standard of like, how am I supposed to, especially if you are coming into after being born again, you see people around you, so you're like, I want to model this, I want to model that. And if now people at the church are modeling righteousness, perfectionist, then you're like, okay, but I'm not fitting in, and also anymore, because you're like, this is my life, I want to be like this. So it I think intimacy, like having that one-on-one relationship with God, changes you so much, because there's so much freedom in knowing God. There's so much peace, there's so much joy, you know, instead of focusing on religion.
And we forget to go back to the blueprint. You know, for God so loved the world.
Come on,
We are worthy. You know, we are worth it.
Yes.
He gave up Jesus, his only begotten Son, that should give you an idea of how much you are worth. You deserve to breathe, you know, to live, to have this life, to live out your purpose.
And it goes back to Romans chapter 8, where so God knew that this would happen, you know, these things would be there. And I think this is why the Bible mentions what can separate us from the love of God. Because we need to be reminded that nothing can separate us from the love of God.
I want to tell you a story where God delivered me again. Guys, I have a journey of deliverance because you see, my background of Christianity, it's not what I know today. Things like grace, no. There was so much religion that, you see, where I come from, when it comes to especially the gospel itself, the Lord really broke my heart, guys. He dealt with me, and through experience. Sometimes we get teachings, but until experience happens, then we can say something. Then because now that's where you encounter God, the power, you know. Now for me, what happened is, where I come from, I remember when I think you guys do know, when you were pregnant in church, you were dealt with in another miserable way. You will never come back to Christ. Let me put it like, not you will never come back to church. You will never come back to Christ. How it was dealt with. Now I come back from that background, and I thought, as long as you don't have that kind of a story, you are free, you are righteous, you are. Remember where I'm coming from, guys. So there was too much self-righteousness. I know self-righteousness. I can explain it. Honestly, I can explain it.
Yeah.
And the Lord has freed me in such a way that now, in my journey, there was a season in my life now. Now I'm a pastor. Before I wasn't a pastor. It was easy dealing with it. Woo! Heaven is not for real. Heaven is okay, but I'm growing my life and I'm realizing, okay, no, there's grace. But now I'm a pastor, and I remember this season in my life where just around me, I just had women very close to me who, I'm a pastor now, and they're now having kids outside marriage, wedlock. You understand? And now I feel like there was a testing. How did God test me? When I became pregnant with my firstborn, I called him a honeymoon baby. This honeymoon baby is when you were not really as prepared, as planned emotionally. I was just prepared physically. You know? There wasn't act.
Still stepping in.
So, but this is how God dealt with me, guys. It's so personal. So now, few weeks down the line, or maybe a week down the line, I kept on seeing visions of me having a baby. Like I already have a child, and I'm like thinking, no, I'm not ready for that. No, I'm ready. Then I realized I was actually pregnant. And I said to God, you know that I'm not ready for this. So the first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna take the child for adoption. That's what I thought of. I'm not prepared for this. I remember my husband didn't even know what to do with me. He called my mom. He called my mom to just talk to me, because I was like, no, this is not. But you see, here's the feelings that I had. I had these feelings. I felt condemnation, not loved, not belonging. I didn't accept myself. I didn't love myself. I felt like it's the end of the world. Now, I'm married, guys, but I was going through those feelings. I felt I'm not worth it. I felt like I'm not fit in anywhere. I'm not even as called Like, guys, everything. And it's strange when I tell you that I was married, but yet I was feeling this feeling. Now, I felt this 7 months down the line. This is the feeling I had with my first pregnancy. And I said to God, now, at the 8th month, everything changed. Everything was just so perfect, like the way a married woman must feel when they're pregnant. And I asked the Lord, but why all of that? And He said to me, you are going to lead women. And this is how they feel. Because there was a feeling for every man, guys, I tell you. And it was not just a feeling, it was a deep feeling. I felt like I don't belong among Christians. I was a pastor, I was born again, and none of you could see that, hey? Guess what? But I was going through that, and I didn't understand why I had to go through it. And the Lord said to me, this is what they're feeling every time. And I want you to help them to not feel this way. I want you to know how to extend grace. I want you to define my love. Guys, in that left 8 to 9 months, I was done, I gave birth. And it was a revelation for me. And a season in my life actually came when just women around me were going through the same situation. And guess what? When they spoke to me and told me, I said, you know what, we're gonna do this. And we did it in the way that the enemy didn't even win. When I say win, they were free, but they asked for forgiveness because I had to lead them to asking for forgiveness. But at the same time, they still loved themselves. They came to church. They're still in the Lord. They still walked with they can still worship God. Guys, you know what? I know how it feels to live that life. Not that I've experienced, but spiritual I did. You understand? And God taught me. And now they can still serve God. They can still walk, even after giving birth, they can still live the life of Christianity in a way that they know that God still loves them. They're still worthy. Because now I know what it feels like to be unworthy. Guys, I know that feeling. You feel like everybody just sees your nakedness.
Yes. And especially when you feel like you've put yourself in that situation. It's even harder to forgive yourself.
I didn't forgive myself. I felt dirty. And I was shocked that, is this what they're going through? So now I understood better. I knew how to cancel now with wisdom. I knew, you see how God teaches us.
Preparing you.
Yes, it was a preparation on my side. It was deliverance as well. Because remember my background, I needed that. I needed that.
I think in Proverbs, just check Proverbs 4:19 verse 8, and it says, to acquire wisdom is to love oneself. And I think being able to, with us, people normally will go to trips, do spas, and not to say that that's wrong. Self-life, self-life is important. But I think you get to learn to love yourself more if you start understanding Jesus even more. Then you realize what is He saying about you, what plans does He have for you, the grace that is upon your life. So I think it's important as being able to have that journey of understanding or growing in wisdom, so we can love ourselves even better.
Very true, Shay. Going back to what you mentioned also about just having that intimacy, with God. In this situation that Priscilla was just mentioning now, I've gone through that in my life, and I think what has always kept me.
All the steps.
I can relate a lot. And the one thing that has kept me is the experiences that I've had with God. The love that He's shown me in my life alone is what kept me to say, like David once said, to say, even if I can be a doorkeeper, but I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. I don't care who says what, what people may think or whatever, but I will stay. I'll be like Job, to say, if I die in the Lord, but I will stay, even if I'm the least, but I will stay.
Because to be honest, people treat you the way you treat yourself.
Yes.
If you don't take yourself seriously, no one will. You're gonna have a hard time, honey.
And if you don't forgive yourself, we are not
I was about to get there, because you know what? I feel like sometimes as Christians, we have a way of putting on. This is what I mean. We are very quick to forgive other people and say, I forgive you, just so that they can see a Christian in you.
Yes.
Can you quickly forgive yourself?
Can you forgive yourself?
We take time
That's
when it
the
comes
biggest
here.
question.
And self-love starts there.
Yeah.
I love myself enough. I'm aware of what I have done. Intentional or not intentional, it's fine. But I love myself enough to forgive myself, because this woman's got to leave. I've got to do life. You understand? And the more, if I do not forgive myself, I will not manifest everything that God wants me to manifest.
Yes.
Because I will always be limited. I will always become just half of whatever I need to be doing or become. So I feel like we're so quick to forgive the people. If somebody just says, please forgive me, we can say just so I can look good.
Yeah.
But why don't you look good for yourself as well?
Yes. And it's so amazing that you learn so much better from people who have already walked the path. If someone came to me and they're trying to help me with something and they haven't been through it, I'm like, but if it's a person who, you know, they've been through it, and you're like, yes, you know, I believe you. So if we want now not to go through things and not forgive and not being able to overcome, then how are we going to be able to be a testimony to other people?
No, that is so powerful. That is so powerful.
You've made me just think of something now to say, you know, how we learn. It's always best to learn from people that have the experience. But are we able to love ourselves enough to learn from other people's experiences and not fall into the same traps? You know, are we able to do that? To be wise in that sense. That, you know what, my sister fell into that.
And I think that's the battle with young people. We want to experience these things, but it's like, honey, why not look at someone else's story, learn from it, rather than having to deal with the lifelong consequences of it? It doesn't make sense.
But sometimes isn't it the notion of, no, me, I'm better.
I know myself.
I have a better strategy. She wasn't prepared, so and you're like, I'm gonna show them.
That's true.
And then it's so hard going back now to be like, okay, guys.
Yeah, you know.
Wow. Because when we look at our parents and things that they've been, they tell us things every day, you know. But then it's like, then we're like, no, but you know, I understand things better and this and that. And
It's
then,
my life.
Yes.
And I feel like we are a very lucky generation.
Come on,
Because
say that again.
now we are dealing with Begazela mentality. now we are for hashtag self-care. You know, we are embracing, you know, for the love you first. Be the best you. Love yourself. Be the best so that you can be the best for other people.
Right. There's so much information out there. There's so much out there for this generation. There's a lot. There's no excuse. You know, if you're looking for information, you're looking for some knowledge, you're looking to understand something. There's a lot out there in comparison to before.
But can I ask you a question? What is the thin line then between loving yourself too much and loving yourself in a healthy way, the way that Christ wants us to be able to love ourselves?
Can I respond to that?
Sure.
I think it goes back to, Shay, you mentioned the scripture in the beginning. You know, there's a part of the Bible where Jesus says, you know, the first commandment, you know, love the Lord your God with all your heart, you know, with all your strength. And then he goes to the second one where he says, love thy neighbor as you love yourself. So if loving yourself is something that cannot extend or relate into how you would love another person, that means you're taking it too far. Yeah, and I think that's how you need to take it. If I can't love Priscilla or I can't love Zandi in the same way that I'm loving myself, then that says it means you're doing too much. Because if I can't handle it or if I can't go to that extent for someone else, then stop, Chloe. Stop.
Same as loving the other person and doing much more for them than you could do for yourself.
yourself.
And as women, we do that.
Yeah. We need to repent today.
Yes.
As mothers especially. Yeah. Wow. Ladies, thank you very much. I think this was an incredible discussion. And I believe that it's going to free many women out there. And if you're watching this right now and you feel that we have helped you in any way, please do comment. Please do say something, because we are sharing life together with Christ, of course. And I hope to see you next week, as we're going to have another powerful topic. See you then.
Level up.
Did I have to keep all of it?
Yeah, because we have
Comment,
to
like, and
see-
subscribe. It's not. I'm not.
Yeah.